Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Just wanted to give you guys a quick update. If you have been to the site, you can see this little temporary platform freeze due to the recent Cetus hack. Check Telegram for updates. Now we have detailed every single element of this freeze in Telegram, giving you all the bullet points of everything, but I know some people don't check Telegram, so I wanted to give you a quick once over here. Okay, PACA protocol has been frozen for about 5 days. So that's when I put this post up. Like I said, I'm gonna give it a quick once over so you guys can get the basic details of what's happening. But we've broken this down at a very, very granular level over in the Telegram. So if you want more information, you wanna ask questions about every question you can possibly think of has been asked and answered in there. So please don't go ask questions down in the comments below or anything like that. Jump over there because it's gonna be the easiest way to answer you. And like I said, all these questions have probably been answered. So here are the basics. Let me rattle this off. The Thursday before last, so a little over a week ago, the Cetus Decentralized exchange, or DEX, which is the largest, most trusted DEX on the SUI network, was hacked for about $223 million. Cetus has confirmed that they expect to recover most of the funds, with only around $60 million possibly lost, which I mentioned a few times is not a huge amount in terms of DeFi. They were actually able to get a loan from the SUI Foundation, so they've already confirmed that no user funds will be lost. So the positive news is, while those funds are frozen, we're still going to be able to get them back. The challenge for us is that because PACA operates only on external revenue, if those funds are tied up and the DEX is frozen, then there's no transactions happening on the DEX. And if there's no transactions happening on the DEX, there are no fees being accumulated for providing liquidity, which is what we do in the CLP farms, right? Concentrated liquidity pools. We provide liquidity in a certain range that we set, and any transactions that happen in that range we get paid for. So right now, 0 transactions are happening. And what that means is for the more than $7 million we have on the platform, it's earning absolutely nothing. No transactions, no fees. So therein lies the problem for us, right? So what we had to do is temporarily freeze the platform. What happens every time someone makes a compound is it creates a future liability. And right now, PACA's liability is something like $55,000 a day. So each day that goes on that we're not earning the majority of that, that's just a straight up potential loss. And while we may be able to weather that storm right now, when it comes time for people to withdraw those funds, if we don't have them because we didn't create them during the downtime, then all of a sudden we're negative. We've told you guys many, many times we refuse to operate this as a Ponzi. And if this was a Ponzi project, we just keep it going. We just say, hey, we're running a big old promo. We try to bring on a bunch of capital, and then we just see how long we can make this thing last. But that's not how we operate here. We actually need the external revenue to be able to pay investors out. There's no other way. We're not just going to take new investor capital for all the new people coming in and creating stakes to pay out the old guys and just hope and pray that everything's going to work out in the end, because we know that model doesn't work. It's never worked. It's not sustainable. So we weren't going to do it. We had to take action. And instead of taking a massive loss every day, we made the very difficult call to freeze the platform temporarily. Now this isn't going to last very long, and I'll let you know what the estimate is. Let me make sure I get through these bullet points so I'm not missing anything. Very important to note that our farms on the SUI chain, really the majority of that's on Cetus. We've tried some other DEXs. They just didn't have the volume and the liquidity for us to feel safe farming large amounts of capital there. Ironic, right? But the capital that we've been farming on the SUI chain has by far been the best performer. So in terms of the daily percentage that it's bringing in, as opposed to us farming on Arbitrum or Solana or BSC or whatnot, stuff on the SUI chain has been a much higher performer. So while we have a bunch of other farms working, SUI has been the real killer. We've said many times in the past that what we do is if we have a total number we need to hit, and let's say right now that's roughly 0.38% a day, we're going to farm on any chain and in any pair that we can in order to reach that certain percentage. So some farms on BSC aren't producing anywhere close to 0.38%. And the farms on the SUI chain have been producing significantly more than that. So everything's about the offset. We're looking for the averages. And unfortunately, in this case, our best performer went down. So to the point, to preserve the long-term sustainability of the platform, ensure we're never relying on those new investor funds to come in, we decided to do a temporary freeze. No rewards are accumulated during this period, but everything prior to that, if you had it sitting in your wallet, you're going to get that back. So what investors cannot do during the freeze is you can't claim rewards, can't compound stakes, can't create new stakes, no restaking expired stakes or withdrawing expired stakes. During the actual freeze period, no rewards accumulate during that time, because those rewards are a liability in the future that if we're not earning for now, then we just have to make up out of thin air, and we're not going to do that. Like I said, this is not a Ponzi project. We rely on the external revenue. So if the external revenue stops, we can't pay people. So temporary freeze, we're going to start back up again. What investors can do during the freeze is you can sell on the marketplace. So if you're really looking to get out or you got bills you need to pay, we completely understand it. You can sell on the marketplace. We did reduce that protocol tax from 15% down to 10%. Of course, 5 always goes to the new buyer to incentivize them to get in. So if you really need to get out, that option is there for you. We wanted to leave that open because we know some people really need funds for one reason or another, and we never like to type your funds if at all possible. As we've noticed, we've left this section open, which is a peer-to-peer transaction. So new people who really believe in the protocol, or current people who really believe in the protocol, are happy to pick up those stakes because they know everything's going to light back up again and we're going to be doing business as usual. You've noticed we do not allow people to deposit stakes during this time. Every other Ponzi project would allow you to put in money, but we're not going to do that. We're not going to allow any new capital really to come in outside of marketplace sales, which are peer-to-peer transactions. Just a seller who needs to get out for whatever reason, maybe they got bills to pay, and then a buyer on the other side who's fine spending the money now and letting the rewards kick in as soon as we unpause. So when will things go back to normal? Let's discuss it. There's been a lot of updates that came out of the Cetus camp and SUI and everything. If I can summarize them to the best of my memory, the SUI chain, validators, everybody band together to decide on freezing the assets that were still on chain. So I think that was about $123 million. So those were temporarily frozen in the wallets that they were in. The hackers had already converted like $60 million into ETH and other things. Cetus put out a bounty for $5 million if anyone could find out who these are and lead to an arrest, who these people are and lead to an arrest. And Cetus offered the hackers $6 million if they just wanted to return the funds. They'd have a white hat agreement, no further investigation, prosecution, anything like that. Obviously, seems like they're not getting back to them. These guys took their $60 million and ran. So what Cetus did, and the whole SUI community, all the validators, everybody, is they put it to a vote. They wanted to see if they could get a majority vote that would allow Cetus and SUI to push an update with some code that would allow those funds to be recovered. In order to do so, all the validators needed to vote, and if the vast majority wanted to, then they would find a way, they'd push that code, and they'd be able to claw back those funds. So that vote was set for 7 days, but if they got a majority percentage by a certain amount of time, 48 hours, then they would go forward with it. They did get all the votes, so everyone has agreed to push the code that will claw back that money. So 123 million coming back. Cetus has worked with the SUI Foundation to get a loan for the other 60 million to cover everybody. So no funds are lost. What they are in the process of is trying to claw back those funds so they can get the LP set up. They got to rebuild everything so we can go live again. They estimated about a week after the vote, so we're probably 6 days out. That's their estimation. So we're really just waiting on that. So what it looks like right now, by all estimations, is that Cetus is going to be back up sometime next week. Once they're up, we need just a little bit of time to make sure that those LPs were done correctly and the Cetus protocol isn't going haywire. If everything's dumping, things are going crazy, that would be not an ideal time for us to just turn everything back on. But if they turn it back on and everything's looking good, then we can move forward. We need to unwind the things that we did. Obviously, we froze the front end of the protocol. We need to go back and give you the rewards that were sitting available when we paused everything. Right now, everything will just show 0 on the screen. So we need a little bit of time for that. Then we'll light this thing up and move forward. So that is the majority of the updates. I'll probably stop it here because if I hit every individual question and everything everyone asked, this is going to be a super long video. Jump into Telegram if you need any more information, but that's exactly what happened. By far our biggest earner, and that is the CLP farms over on Cetus. Those are all paused due to the hack. They're getting the money back via the clawback and getting the loan from the SUI Foundation. So funds are 100% safe. They need to go back and rebuild the LPs and everything. As soon as they go live again, we'll start printing money again and everything will go back to business as usual. There was a period of downtime where we kept the platform open, accumulating a bunch of liability for a few days while we were trying to figure out what was shaking out from the Cetus situation. As soon as we found out that it was clear that it was probably going to take them a little bit to get this solved, we went through the process of freezing the platform and pausing everything. So we did take a nice big loss in between there. But our other farms that are working right now that earn less of a percentage than SUI did, those are eating into that deficit. So by the time we launch, we should be in good shape. So that's the overall update. Everyone's been super positive in the chat. We appreciate you guys. A lot of great questions. Glad you guys are all feeling good about it. From day one, I was never really concerned about the capital. I knew that they would get enough of it back to be able to restart the platform and we'd get our $7 million working again. It really came down to just a matter of how many days we needed to pause in order to not negatively impact the protocol in the long term. So in a nutshell, count on everything looking smooth over the next week. We'll get everything back up and running again. All the buttons will work as normal. And compound, claim you're available. When we went down, we still had a day. We were kind of doing a promotion that was for people restaking. A lot of people wanted to move chains. They started on BSC and they've been liking Base or they've been liking Sonic. So we ran a 0.37 that would allow people to claim their stakes and then move over to another chain at that same restake rate, which is 0.37%. Many people asked, are we going to restart during that promo so they can still take advantage of it? And yes, we will. It's only fair. So when we go live again, expect a little normal promo. We're not going to come out and run a 0.45 or anything like that, but just a normal little promo. So you guys, if you want to transition those stakes over, you can. So that's it. In a nutshell, looking at probably the 2-week pause from the date we froze everything. We'll restart it all and we'll be back to business as usual. So as always, truly appreciate the support and happy investing.